it's my pleasure now to bring Leon Barnes, president of Open Technology Group, to the show. Leon, are you there?
Hey, I am here. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, it's afternoon now, Leon. I
It
don't know
is.
where you
It
are.
is.
It's afternoon here.
It
So,
is. It is. Hey, look, we're all still adjusting to the hour change, even though we're about a month in, right? 2 months in.
yeah, exactly. But at any rate, hey, I was excited when I looked at your bio and saw that
Yes.
you were a graduate of, I think, of Hampton
Of
University.
the Hampton University. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. And we joked a little bit earlier that you went to HU, I went to HI Hampton Institute
Gotta love
before
it.
transferring to Howard. So I have a little HI and HU, right?
I love it. I love it here. My mom's
Yeah,
a Tyson, so hey, it's in the family. So I mean, I'm around amazing women. Needless to say.
wonderful. So tell us what Open Technology Group is and how you kind of your journey into this field of technology.
Sure, absolutely. So, Open Technology Group's been around for about 34 years now. My dad started the company in 1990 when I was born. We do government contracting, IT primarily. We do a little bit of asset management. We do infrastructure. We do data migration. Anything that's really pertaining to the infrastructure of the government. We've been relatively successful over the 34-year span to have helped a number of government entities within the area, and we're still here today. My dad passed, unfortunately, in 2011 due to lung cancer. Totally outlier. Never smoked a day in his life, and so it just kind of happened. And we had a predecessor take over for about 10 years, and I was fortunate enough to come on board in 2022 and take over the company. So it's been great. In taking over, I've established pretty much a platform for DEI within the company to advance people that look like us in tech, and it's been great.
Wow, you said again, you and David, who was on earlier, you say a lot, and there's a lot in there that I get excited about. One is the legacy business that you came back and took over the company, and again, why did you feel it was important, to keep your father's legacy alive?
Well, I think with not to take the cliche from Spider-Man, but with great power does truly come great responsibility, and I think that sometimes you're called to the forefront to do things that will benefit other people. My mo has always been to climb the corporate structure in whatever capacity to open up doors for other people. I saw this as an opportunity to do that, right? So I'm over about 40 people right now, and what I've been able to do is essentially set up goals and milestones for them to advance their careers even outside of Open Technology Group. When I first started my career, I noticed that there were two different types of people. There were people who would either be in a position to help you and they would not, or people who would, say that they would and, ultimately wouldn't, right? I didn't want to be that person. Today, being fortunate enough to be in the CEO role, I'm creating an environment that allows people to strive for different things, advance within tech, and understand that it's more about just your day-to-day paycheck. It's about setting a precedent and example and getting other people that look like us into tech and advancing.
So how does that is that what motivated you to create this YouTube series that you're doing now called Black Mental Health Matters? I mean, how are you sort of bridging the technology work that you do with mental health?
Actually, two totally separate entities that happen to merge over the course of time. I'm a huge proponent of therapy and I'm a huge proponent of mental health. But what I noticed is in the corporate America scale, at least, that productivity is valued far more than mental health, right? CEOs often and C-suite in general often want to see how much they can squeeze out of their team with no regrets as to whether the personal time is or just mental health state as well. With me being such a proponent of mental health, I noticed that the team worked relatively well under PTO, team engagement, just understanding that we're one team and understanding that they're being taken care of and thought of. So what I've kind of done with my stage is utilize, therapy, PTO, and team goal-oriented activities to increase the productivity in my team and preach that to them, outside of the company.
I mean, give me an example, Leon, of something, because we talked a little bit earlier with our prior guests about the times that we're in right now. These are very
Yes.
challenging times, and
Yes.
decisions are being made that and everybody's feeling very insecure
Yes.
in position. So, I mean, what would be one thing that you would have done or would recommend a business owner could do to deal with sort of the anxiety that many employees are feeling right now?
I think it's always important to, even regardless of the level that you're at within, the corporate skill. I think it's important to take a step back and empathize with your team, right? Like you said, there's a lot of uncertainty, and with that comes anxiety and a lot of pressure. I think it's important to just kind of align yourself with the boots on the ground, understand what they're going through on a day-to-day basis, and encourage them to move forward on one accord. That could be done a number of different ways. That could be done by encouraging PTO. Those mental health days are essential. We always, engrave a flex day, what like we call it, a floating holiday, into our schedule for people to do that. Tell people to spend time with their families. Use team-oriented activities, even outside of the office space, to just kind of like collaborate and just figure out exactly where you are. I think it's so important to have that intimate time, whether in office or out, just to kind of get a feel for where people really are.
You talked earlier also about DEI, which is sort of like the word that the initials nobody wants to use anymore
Gosh,
because of
bad
the
word
time.
now. I hate that. I hate that.
It is, and that's why I like the word
Absolutely.
accessibility,
Absolutely.
because that sort of brings everything in without having to use those other letters. But
Yes.
how is that impacting, with what the national landscape is? How's that affecting your business, and how are you bringing that into open technology group?
It's hard to say because, like we said, the word has been ostracized, due to this administration at such an, an audacious extent, right? I think that, when I kind of hit the ground running with the DEI concept in tech, was looked at as, an inclusive gesture to, kind of, lower that gap, right? That wealth gap, and, particularly in tech. But now it seemed to taking a turn to more of like a handout, which I hate. So, the way to kind of get around that is just to continue to prove, that we're actually here not due to a handout, but because of the qualifications that we have, and encourage people who are currently in the position of tech to exceed beyond their wildest dreams, to open up the door behind them, because that's all we have at this point. It's so unfortunate. I hope that things begin to change, but we're really going to have to put our money where our mouths are, and just utilize the skills that we have to advance accordingly. That's all we have right now.
Sometimes I find, particularly with Black-owned businesses, those businesses tend to exercise DEI more than others, because even if it's Black-owned,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times you'll find a diverse workforce within that
Yes.
Black-owned company. And
Yes.
so, is that part of what you are doing as well? With your company and your employees?
So I can't say that we actually have like a quote unquote black force, if you will, because my company is over 90% diversity in itself, whether that be
Right.
women or minorities in itself. So I can't say that we've set aside quote unquote a little space for that, because we've never had to do that. Working in the government for a number of years, particularly in tech, I've noticed that tech is taught so differently, internationally, right? And so for a lot of the government problems that we've come across, we've only been able to solve them because of the ways that they were taught overseas, or, in, different parts of America. So I just think it's essential to have that diversity within your tech team, because that's the only way you're going to be able to solve a multitude of problems.
Right, right. That's another word you used that I don't want that folks don't like. This is how we got into this boat when you're talking about setting aside, a certain group. But I know technology seems to be a very diverse field within
Absolutely.
itself. And
Absolutely.
even Black-owned companies, I have observed, are pretty diverse
Yes,
because they're tech companies,
they
right?
are.
So that's interesting. So, I mean, what are are there any recruitment, anything you're doing right now, either for your podcast or your company itself, or what are you advising businesses to do right now,
I'm,
business owners especially?
So, my note to other business owners is to invest in your team at all costs. Figure out exactly where the gaps are in your team and figure out ways to invest in them. For me, it's all about time. It's all about equity within that, whether that's, allowing them to go for different certifications or, be recognized in different spaces within the company, whether that's employee of the quarter, employee of the year, what milestone has been reached, 5 years, 10 years. I think it's so important for people to be seen on your team because, when they're seen, they truly do feel accounted for, and that totally increases your productivity and morale across the board.
I forgot to ask you, Leon, where are you based?
Washington, D.C.
Oh, okay. In the city, in the district?
I am literally in the city. I can actually look out and see Howard behind me. We talked a little bit
Okay.
off there about where I was born. I was born in Washington Hospital, and I believe somebody said that they were, born in Howard Hospital, and it is actually right behind me.
Wow. Okay. Okay. That's amazing. That's amazing. And as far as your company's concerned, I guess you doing okay. You haven't been impacted by any of
We have
these
not.
changes.
We have not been affected. Just so thankful for that. Every day is a new day, but to this point, we have not been affected. As a matter of fact, incredibly blessed to say that we've actually expanded a little bit under the circumstances. But like I said, every day is a new day, and we're just thankful for every additional day that we have with our contracts.
So before I let you go,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
want you to share with us what Leon Barnes does for his mental health.
What
What do
does
you do
Leon
to?
Burns do? Okay. Leon Burns does a couple things, right? He actually just got back from Mexico not too long ago. I went away for 23 days because I felt like it was necessary. Reached a pretty sizable rest period in my work schedule, and felt like it was a great idea to get away. So I went to Cancun just to kind of get away from the district and get away from the mundane tasks. Right, being in an all inclusive for a number of weeks allowed me to just kind of set my own schedule, do a lot of exercising, yoga, mental health. And I kid you not, people often talk about how silence can be so loud, and it truly was that. I feel like I came back with a lot more clarity than I left with. And just really got back to what was important, seeing that, I hadn't been around my family as much as I really needed to be, right? Or I hadn't been exercising as much as I should have been. So I think that, kind of stepping away from the everyday, allows you to kind of reset and reprioritize what's truly important. And it certainly did that for me.
Wow, that's fantastic. It's good advice. Even if you can't get away, just get away from your environment. Go down to the
A little
the
while.
river, or go someplace. Go
Any,
walk through the woods.
anything, whatever your piece is, whether that's the beach, whether that's, the mountains for hiking or whatever, find your piece. And if you don't know what your piece is, I would highly encourage you to even meditate on what that looks like for you, because it doesn't look the same for everybody. So that's my tidbit of the day.
All right. Well, Leon Burns of Open Technology Group, I want to thank you so very much for being with us, for sharing those
Truly.
tips. I feel better already, just thinking about
I'm
what I
glad.
could think about.
I'm glad. What I'm here for. That's what I'm here for.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for joining us, and have a great day.
Absolutely. You do the same. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Thank you.